Prepare to be captivated by the business story of the week, hosted by me, Shaheen Shan. Join us on a journey through the twists and turns of entrepreneurial triumphs and setbacks. Immerse yourself in the narrative and witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. This is Business Story of the Week.
And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your co-host, Joshua, and here we are again, like every day. We uncover stories of success. We uncover stories of perseverance. We uncover stories of innovation. And you guys know how much I love innovations, visionaries in our field, in any field. We love having them on the show. And today we have quite the visionary leader as a guest. Yariv Cohen is the CEO of Ignite Power. He is, of course, one of the visionary leaders in this space. He is a Pan-African leader in distributed solar infrastructure solutions, which has already impacted more than 2.5 million lives across multiple African countries. Yariv Cohen's leadership at Ignite Power has not only revolutionized the energy sector in Africa, but also empowered communities and driven economic growth through sustainable solutions. His approach has led to impactful change, making Ignite Power a beacon of success in the renewable energy industry. And we all know that the renewable energy, green energy, is right now. And right now, Yariv joins us today to share his stories and his success. Yariv, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you, Joshua. I'm doing well.
Fantastic. You look great as well, and we're really excited to have you on today, Yariv.
Thank you for the kind words.
Thank you. Well, you're welcome, and I'm really excited to ask you these questions. But before we really get into this, I always like to start from the beginning. We start from the journey. Um, what is the story of Yariv Cohen? Right? Like, where did it all begin? I'd like to start where the journey began for Yariv. Anything that happened in your childhood life, perhaps any moments where you realized, like, oh, I'm gonna do solar for the rest of my life, or maybe perhaps throughout your experiences as a businessman, as an executive, as a CEO. How did you get into solar power, and how did you come to involve yourself with as a pan-African leader in the tech space?
So actually, I started my career as a high-tech entrepreneur. Not
Mhm.
about impact, not about Africa, just about revolutionizing and changing technologies. The first
Mhm.
startup was in cellular communication. The second
Wow.
one was in digital communication and natural language processing, which became afterwards AI. Then, after starting a few companies, opening, selling, playing in that field for a while, I went to academia and spent some time in London, enjoying the ivory tower. And then I went into the carbon world. So the carbon development world, carbon credits, early 2000s, where CDM was working, the Kyoto
Wow.
Protocol was up and running,
Mhm.
and ended up leading a company that developed over 140 projects, over $1 billion portfolio. That led me to live
Wow.
in China, to work in Russia, to work in America, and to
Wow.
work in Africa. Exited from that company around 2012 and
Mhm.
looked at areas to invest my capital and my time. Went to see what's happening in Africa, and I saw that the same solar panel systems that we're putting for $1,000 per home suddenly are costing 200 per home. And I projected
Okay.
forward and said soon it will be $100 per home. When it's
Mhm.
$100 per home, that's universally affordable. So this is where I
Wow.
want to play. I want to connect 100 million to people to power and to internet and give them modern life. We started a
Of course.
modest start in Rwanda, signed an agreement for 250,000 homes, which I'm happy to announce here that we will reach by the end of this month.
Mhm. Mhm. Yariv, I apologize for that, but we did get all your questions. I just got disconnected, basically. I got your answers,
Uh,
basically.
so I stopped in the
It
middle.
was yes, yes. We got most of that. I was able to check real quick. Um, what we can do is
So I can
we
just
can
redo
pick
the
up.
question.
Yes, precisely. We can just redo the question. You can pick up where you left off as well. Um, let me just re-ask the question again. I'll redo it. We can just stick the introduction earlier and then pick up where we left off. All right. I really apologize for the internet. It usually doesn't act up like this, so it's a matter of luck, I guess, right now.
Oh, it's okay. I can just go back to the part about starting to talk about Rwanda, and then I'll take it forward.
Okay, fantastic. All
So
right.
we just
So,
have to remove a little bit from the start. So we started our first project in Rwanda to connect 250,000 homes. And I'm very happy to
mhm.
announce that this month we will reach 250,000 homes in Rwanda, over
Wow.
12,500 villages. That's about 2.5, 2 million people in Rwanda alone. And we focus on rural. So we connect the poor people at the bottom of the pyramid to solar power, modern and
Mhm,
affordable. We give them
mhm,
a solar panel, we give them a battery, we give them lights, and suddenly a dark home with no floor becomes a home. In Mozambique, we grew up next. We just crossed 100,000 installation there. Then we went to Kenya. We're scaling
mhm.
up there. Now we are entering Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, and Senegal. And by the end of this year, we will be in 12 countries across Africa. So the goal is 100 million people by 2030, and we're starting to pick up the pace now.
That is wow. That is those are very impressive numbers and very impressive milestones. First of all, 12 countries across Africa right now, and if I'm correct, also we mentioned earlier, 2.5 million lives affected or provided for across multiple African countries, and you are now mother of. I mean, you are now basically what becoming the mother of all, you know, ignite solar power, igniting the lives of all these African families. Yuri, these are all very impressive numbers, and you're looking to affect 100 million by 2030. What are you guys doing right now to ramp everything up in order to meet that? It does sound achievable, but at the same time, it's a very ambitious number. Let us know what you guys are going through to get to that.
So first of all, we're improving our operation every day. We just doubled in size from last year, and this year we're already on the path to triple from last year. So
Mhm.
2023, we doubled from 2022.
Okay.
2024, we're tripling from 2022, and we expect that trend to continue. We're acquiring companies, we are super boosting them, we are growing as we speak. So from a number
Wow.
of teams, we'll be 3 times the size by the end of this year, and 10 times the size of where we are today by the end of next year. That's
Hmm.
already villages we know, that we mapped, people that we interviewed, we
Hmm.
collected and found out. And then if we just continue in a good path, we will make it.
Wow. So, Yuri, tell us why solar right now. What makes it different right now, and what makes it, very affordable right now? What were the differences back in the past decades? You mentioned before that it used to cost $1,000 to put one in a home, and then now it's about, and then it became $200, and now it's much more achievable, much more accessible to more homes right now. What did significantly change throughout all that made that all possible today?
So before I started, I looked at all the different options from coal
Hmm.
to diesel, which are
Hmm.
expensive and polluting, and decided that's not the path I want to go. Then we
Of
looked at
course.
hydropower. Hydropower available, but not as much as there is in Asia. There are not
Hmm.
many rivers in Africa in the places that are inhabited. Then we looked at
Hmm.
wind energy, and I did a full analysis of the whole of the continent, looking where is the wind resource and where are the people. And guess what? They don't overlap. There are areas with very good wind, but hardly any people, and areas with a lot of people with no wind. Solar is just everywhere. If you can do solar in Germany with all the rain, you can do solar in Africa. And the
Wow.
cost curve of solar has been going down for the last 40 years. It's not that something has happened. Each year, between 10 to 15%, since 1970, every year going down. And if you project that forward, the numbers are clear. So I've been doing now solar for 10 years, and our price has gone down by 50% from what I used to buy it already.
Wow.
And we expect that to continue. So the cost curve of solar is just much better than everything else. You can put it anywhere on the planet, easily, transport it easily, and it just start generating the moment you put it. You don't have to do a cable, you don't have to give it feedstock, it just works.
And you're not only providing power, you're not only providing energy to homes that would otherwise be unable to access it, you're actually giving them a more opportunity into the quality of life. You're actually increasing their quality of life. Yariv, this is something that I really want to ask for you, because now you've mentioned to us all the different industries that you've worked in, all the different, um, adventures that you've involved yourself with, and now that you've chosen and zeroed in into this particular opportunity, what were the major differences that you see, and how rewarding is it right now that you have involved yourself in the solar industry?
So today we service the people that need it more. We're not like a technology company that will get you your laundry quicker. We make real impact on real people that will not have a future otherwise. If there's 600 million people across the planet that don't have power. If you don't have power, if you don't have internet, you don't have an economic future in the world
That's
we're
true.
going in today. So
That is true.
that's the first part. If I can connect 100 million people, some of those kids will change their trajectory forever. They'll be able to work. They'll be able to stay home. They will not have to migrate. So the positive externalities of our work are as meaningful as it gets.
Wow. I mean, of course, it's again, like we mentioned, you're actually also increasing their quality of life. So it must feel rewarding right now where you are at. Um, but Yariv, when it comes to the acceptance of solar, right? Because right now you're actually against what? You're actually against the big oil companies. You're actually against going against that trend that seems to not be slowing down, because they're backed by a lot of, well, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of people behind that, a lot of powerful individuals behind the oil industry. So, do you feel like that has slowed down the acceptance of solar despite its affordability? And do you see a trend where solar will become more accepted and will become the go to energy source? Is that possible at all?
We're already there. So the people we connect, they don't have energy, they don't have power, they're off the grid, they don't have digital generators. So we're not competing with the oil companies. We are adding new people that were not there before. And if you look at the rate of solar adaptation, not just in Africa, all across the world, the revolution has happened. It's already happening big time. So it started in Africa because there was no grid. But if you look at what's happening in Germany, if it's what's happening in London, what's happening in Sweden, homes are mushrooming with solar panels on all of them, even in places where there is affordable, reliable grid.
Yes, and that's surprising also, and how you mentioned that is actually quite optimistic, because, of course, I'm seeing this from the perspective of where oil companies are successful or are big, right? So you have U.S. who's still very reliant on their oil. You have Russia, who's is right now is fueling people or other countries with their oil as well, but of course, in places that these are not so accessible and power grids is not, it's not always available everywhere, you're now supplying these kind of opportunities to countries who would others or otherwise not have them. I love your perspective that you don't have to compete against them. You're actually just go moving forward. You're pressing on. So does that mean you're not how you call this, you're not worried at all when it comes to trying to implement and adapt it in countries that already have power grids? It doesn't matter, because what we're trying to target is the rest of the world. Am I saying that right?
So both the places we go are the places that don't have options, and everywhere there are people with unreliable grid. You know that from the Philippines. If you look at some places in America, we go to those first. We have 7 years to just focus on that, 6 years until 2030, just focus on that. And the costs continue to go down. We will do other places where there is grid, but just that focus is more than enough business that I can do alone. So we are focusing on that, growing as fast as we can, as rapidly as we possible.
Wow. Well, so as a as an innovator yourself, as a tech first company guy, and a leader, a visionary leader in that space, it's always very important to to visionary, right? One track mind. Make sure that you stick to the goal, eye on the prize. Now that you're leveraging these advancements when it comes to technology and adaptation at the same time, providing solar solutions to remote, not only remote, but you're also providing solutions to places that still have grid, and but a good focus on rural communities in Africa. What are other locations right now specifically that you are targeting that you believe will get you guys over to that hump and over to meet that goal of 100 million households by 2030?
So the 100 million household is in Africa, but we now have inroads in the Philippines, in Indonesia, in India, in Pakistan,
Oh, wow.
in South America. They all need those solutions. Through different ways, we are some of it supplying, some of it are partnering with to enhance what we do. But all those places
Wow.
need it badly.
Wow. So so you're saying that you're targeting 100 million by 2030, but that's just in Africa.
They're just yes, that's before
Wow.
we start doing the work we're doing in Asia.
That is even more impressive because you're completely confident that you'll hit that in Africa alone, and it's very possible, and without even considering all the other countries. First of all, Yariv, how soon can you get here to Asia? We need this in the Philippines. We need more adaptation of solar power here in the Philippines. Before we get onto all of this pressing challenges, I want to talk about that. It of course hasn't been a smooth ride, right? Of course, there's been challenges along the way. What were the most pressing challenges and opportunities that you saw when trying to adapt this renewable energy sector in Africa, and how did you overcome these challenges along the way?
So what I like to say is there was not one big challenge, but there's 1,000 small ones. From
Mm-hmm.
droughts to rain to customs to strikes to delays to COVID,
Oh, of
lots and
course.
lots and lots of them. And every day we have like 3 or 4 big ones, and every day we solve another 3 or 4 big ones. So the
Mm-hmm.
key was to build a problem-solving organization that can deal with all those and solve the problem and solve the problems. And what I like to tell young entrepreneurs is the bigger the business, the bigger the problems. So your problems will
Right.
only get bigger and bigger and bigger over time. Small business, small problem, like small kids, small problems.
Mm-hmm.
So the problems grow and we solve them, and then the next one comes and we solve that too.
And this is because of the team that you put together, problem solving team, basically, correct? And I love
Yeah,
how you
all
said,
the
like,
time. We have a very,
go ahead.
please.
Yes, and like you said, the bigger the problem, the bigger the company, the bigger the problem. I love that concept that you just mentioned, and it's an important concept to remember for any startup, any entrepreneurs, any executive that they're facing challenges. I want to ask this as a more personal question for you, though. Like, without the team, can you? I mean, of course, it's obviously that you need your best problem solving team to get the job done, but how do you personally deal with those problems? How do you personally get through those stresses? Like, do you stress out enough on it as an entrepreneur, as a big time leader right now? Do you have those days where you're completely overwhelmed, and how did you overcome that?
Experience. I've had my
Wow.
share of problems throughout my career. This is my
Hmm.
third career.
Hmm.
I used to run a company with operations in 20 countries,
Hmm.
listed on the exchange with its own set of items. It's just perspective, experience and perspective. We will solve that problem too. And the big problems that we have, we don't yet know. And the big jumps that we do, we still don't know where they come from. So just keep an open mind, keep cheerful, hold everything together, and charge on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And this is wonderful advice for our audiences and listeners, for everyone looking for that next step, for that next motivation. And I knew that's why you were the perfect guest for today, because, that's what our audience want. They're just looking for that next motivation to hear it from the best of the best. Yariv, before I wrap this up, and I always like to wrap this up with this question. Clearly, you have your aspirations are very clear when it comes to your goals in 2030, when it comes with Ignite Solar. But I do want to ask you personally as well, what is the future for Yariv Cohen? What are your personal aspirations outside of Ignite Solar? Anything else that you would like to involve yourself in? And again, how do you see yourself, or how do you see the solar industry at large impacting lives globally? What is the big picture when it comes to solar industry or solar energy?
So what I believe is everybody will have a solar panel on their homes all across the planet. It just makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense in your home today, it will make in a year or 2 or 5. So all houses will be connected to power, all small businesses will be connected to power, and the grid will connect the heavy steel, cement, the big factories will be connected to the grid. But everything else can be off-grid or connected to each other in a mini, micro, multi-layer mesh grids. So that's the big vision. For me, I'm modest. I want to connect 100 million people. Then my time on this planet was worthwhile, and then I can think what to do next. But this is what keeps me busy at night.
Well, it's always, again, like one track mind, eye on the prize, and whatever feels more rewarding right now, why not keep doing that, right? Why not keep continuing that? Yariv, I'd like to give this opportunity. Let us know where we can connect with you. Where can we find out more about Ignite Solar? We would love to know where the progress is. We'd love to know where you guys are going next, and where are you most active in. Maybe you're on any social medias. Please let us know. Let the audience and listeners find out how to connect with you.
So we have our website, ignite.solar. LinkedIn is the main avenue where we share our updates. So please feel free to connect me and contact me on LinkedIn, Yariv Cohen. And looking forward to continuing this journey and having another conversation soon when we reach our next milestone.
For sure. On our next milestone, Yariv, we need to have another show. We need to have another episode and celebrate it together, celebrate with you, and have our audience and listeners do the same. Check out ignite.solar. Check out what Yariv and his team of great innovators and problem solvers and what they're doing today to impact 100 million lives by 2030. Yariv, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here on our show today.
Thank you, Joshua.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, to our audience and listeners out there, see you on the next one.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.